Damn. Yeah, I've never seen a crash this bad before. Alright.
The following story is based on real-life criminal cases. Some names, details, and events have been altered for privacy and dramatic purposes. While every effort has been made to ensure accuracy, certain information may not be factually verified. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Some of these cases remain unsolved to this day.
Yeah, I couldn't see it on my way up here. I couldn't see it. Oh. Missed it.
Well, this is the wood one. I basically drove like really slow, and I'm like, oh, there it is.
Gotcha. How many occupants?
I just heard from my.
Gotcha.
Leigha Mumby, the Florida woman accused of crashing her car on purpose. A case that turned from tragedy to fatality. Good day, everyone, and welcome back to Murder Mistress, the channel where we take a closer look at the stories behind the headlines, the cases that leave more questions than answers, and the moments that change lives forever. Please, before we continue, do not forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss any of our true crime deep dives. In today's story, we are heading to Flagler County, Florida, a quiet coastal region where a seemingly ordinary February night spiraled into chaos, tragedy, and ultimately death. The case involves a young woman named Leigha Mumby and her boyfriend, Daniel Waterman, a couple whose relationship would come to an abrupt and devastating end following a late-night drive that turned into a horrific crash. According to investigators, what appeared at first to be a tragic accident may, in fact, have been something much darker. On February 8th, deputies from the Flagler County Sheriff's Office were called to the scene of a crash along a tree-lined roadway in Palm Coast. A white SUV had collided head-on with a tree. Inside were two people, Leigha, who appeared shaken but conscious, and Daniel, who was severely injured and unresponsive. As deputies' body-worn cameras rolled, the sounds of sirens, crackling radios, and distressed voices painted a haunting picture of confusion. Leigha was found behind the wheel. Her boyfriend, Daniel, lay motionless in the passenger seat, struggling to breathe. First responders quickly went to work, assessing the situation, cutting through seat belts, and calling for medics. To the outside eye, it was the aftermath of a terrible accident. But as the night unfolded, suspicions began to rise. Investigators at the scene noted that there were no visible signs of braking before the SUV hit the tree. Tire marks were missing. The impact zone suggested the vehicle had gone straight into the tree at considerable speed. And while Leigha appeared to have only minor injuries, Daniel had sustained multiple critical injuries, including severe trauma to the head and chest. In the days that followed, deputies began piecing together what might have led up to that crash. According to reports, Leigha and Daniel had been arguing inside the car moments before impact. Witnesses would later tell investigators they heard shouting coming from the vehicle shortly before it veered off.
No. The owner of this iPhone was in a severe car crash and is not responding to their phone. The emergency location is latitude 39.5815.
The road. The central question became chillingly clear. Was this a case of reckless driving, or had Leigha intentionally driven her SUV into that tree? At first, Leigha denied any wrongdoing. She told investigators that she had simply lost control of the vehicle, that it was dark, and that she had swerved to avoid something on the road. But the physical evidence did not seem to match her story. Crash reconstruction experts determined there was no sign of swerving. No animal tracks. No debris. The road was dry and clear. Meanwhile, Daniel Waterman was clinging to life. He was placed in a medically induced coma due to the severity of his injuries. For months, family members visited him in the hospital, praying for a miracle. Leigha, on the other hand, continued to maintain that it had all been a tragic accident. Then, in May, nearly 3 months after the crash, Daniel regained consciousness. It was during that recovery period that the case took an unexpected turn. Investigators say Daniel told medical staff and law enforcement officers that the crash was no accident at all. According to Daniel, Leigha had intentionally driven their SUV into the tree after the two got into a heated argument that night. He said she was angry, out of control, and determined to teach him a lesson. Those claims instantly shifted the investigation from a traffic incident to a potential felony case. Detectives interviewed Daniel multiple times as his health slowly improved. They documented his account, comparing it to the physical evidence, and began building a case. For the first time, authorities had a direct statement from the victim, claiming that Leigha had tried to harm him on purpose. In the weeks that followed, prosecutors worked to verify every detail of Daniel's account. Investigators went back to the crash site, re-examined the vehicle, and rewatched hours of body cam footage. Deputies who had responded to the scene described Leigha as appearing distraught but oddly calm. She allegedly made statements suggesting she had been done arguing before the crash occurred. As those details emerged, Leia's story began to unravel. A once devoted girlfriend now stood accused of intentionally causing a crash that left her boyfriend fighting for his life. But then, just as the case seemed ready to move forward, tragedy struck again.